What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Dogman Cometh. I'm Barilla Black as always, and today I want to talk about dogmen and upright canine creatures out of Kentucky. And there's so many in Kentucky. It's just like with Mississippi. There are just so many, and Michigan too, man. Especially Michigan. There are so many stories and encounters and sightings coming from, just those three states in particular, not counting all the other states that have, just a plethora of encounters. Um, but these three, especially, I'm probably going to do multiple like episodes at one point or another, uh, detailing the encounters of said states. Kentucky, Michigan, and Mississippi. Uh, but I've got two stories coming out of Kentucky that I thought are pretty interesting, and I wanted to share them with you guys, and see what you think about them. And you can leave your opinions in the comments below and tell me what you think. The first story is referring to a creature known by a couple different names. The first name is, they call it Barilla, and they also call it the Gateway Werewolf, and the encounter stretched from about 1944 to present day. And it says, for about 70 years, a tall biped wolf-like creature has been making regular appearances in rural Kentucky. This creature is known as the Barilla. The name Barilla derives from a description given by the first witness to go public with his sighting in 1972. While being interviewed by the media, he stated the creature looked like a cross between a bear and a gorilla, and thus it was dubbed the Barilla by the press. It is most often seen in the Gateway region of the state. The Gateway is the area located between the flatlands of the Bluegrass region and the mountains of eastern Kentucky. For this reason, it is also referred to as the Gateway Werewolf. Most witnesses describe it as being basically the same type of creature that has been spotted in the northern states, except the Barilla is always described as having a white or a silvery gray coat. It is close to the height of an average man, with its arms and legs being similar in proportion to that of a human. The hands or forepaws, however, are said to have long, curving, sharp claws. The feet, judging by footprints, are said to be elongated and somewhat human-like, but the shorter toes and a configuration that are more like that of a canine. The most striking feature, according to the witness accounts, is the elongated muzzle with large protruding canine teeth and pointed incisors. This wolf-like creature also has a tendency to be much more aggressive than its northern cousins or counterparts. And it's I've heard stories where people describe seeing dogmen that resemble like a cross between a wolf and a gorilla, or a bear and a gorilla, or a bear and a wolf. And not every dogman is going to look the same. Obviously, not every person looks the same. I mean, they're not clone molds of each other, and I thought that was interesting, especially the color of the coat, because there has been, like encounters where people have talked about seeing one of these creatures and they're a different color, although they're usually black, or grayish black, or maybe dark brown. They have been seen, having different color coats. It's just rare, I guess. I've only heard of a few myself, but it the stories like this need to be told, because it helps broaden our perspective about what our thoughts on the dogman and creatures of the like could be, and it helps our understanding of these creatures just a little bit more. The next one is it says a dogman attacks a dog and decapitates it. The story says, we got a glimpse of something standing over my dog. I shined the light right on him, and I was terrified by what I seen. This creature looked to be 7 to 8 feet tall, with a wolf-like head and a human body, or a human-type body, with fur. His fur was splotchy, though like he had the mange or something. The creature heard us and turned around and started walking towards us. And I just froze up and I couldn't move a muscle because I was so scared. My cousin started running, and when he seen I was frozen up, he fired his gun up in the air, and when the creature heard the noise, he took straight up a hill, like straight up the hillside on 4 legs in just a couple bounds. My cousin grabbed me and said, "Come on," and we ran as fast as I've ever run in my life to the house and locked the door. When daylight hit, we went outside to check on the dogs, and one of them was dead. His head had been ripped off. A couple days later, a couple days before the run-in with the creature, we were going hill climbing, and we come up on a coyote head that was just lying there, and it was all slimy looking, and there was no sign of the body. Huh. Well, I mean, these things are pretty powerful. It doesn't surprise me that they could rip a dog or a person's head off with little to no effort. Um, it's sad that, that poor dog. That's fucked up, man. I mean, I couldn't think of what I'd do. Like, I couldn't imagine what I would do or how I'd feel if someone ripped one of my dog's heads off. That's crazy. Wow. Now the next one is kind of it's not a overly long story, but it's a little bit longer story, and I hope y'all like this one. Now with this last story, the sightings they span between 2001 to 2005 and cover different sightings and incidents. Um, it reads, "I was lying on the couch watching TV, and the couch was right next to the living room window. And as I was watching TV, something caught my eye in the window, so I looked over. I can't actually explain what I saw, but I know it was some kind of large animal, and it couldn't have been a bear. Its snout was pressed against the window, and its breath was fogging up the window quite a bit. I nearly had a heart attack, it scared me so badly. The snout of the animal was the only thing I saw, and I know animals, and I know it didn't look like a bear. My aunt used to have a Doberman that she kept outside, and every night he would go crazy barking at something to the point that the dog tried chewing his way out of his pen, trying to get to whatever it was outside. But the snout I saw that night was narrow, and it seemed long, but I'm not I'm not for sure. After I seen it pressed to the window, I just went into shock and lied as still as possible. Then, after a few minutes, I finally got the guts to get up and rush to my bed. I never spoke a word of it to anyone about that. Another time, me and my older sister ended up seeing something in the woods. This happened the same place as the first. Me and my sister took off walking behind our trailer into the woods because we were bored and wanted to find something to do. We ended up maybe 100 yards away from the trailer, and there was this old tree that had fallen over 30 feet in front of us. Then I heard my sister scream, and she took off running back to the house. I hurried and looked, and I saw something brownish poking its head up from behind the tree. I didn't even bother taking a good look because after that I took off running. Even though my sister had a head start, I still ended up beating her home. She said she seen what the animal looked like though. She said it looked like a wolf or maybe a bear, but it was far too muscular. And out of the corner of my eye I seen something. It was large and black running along below the hill below us. My first guess was bear, but then I noticed a tail. Bears don't have long tails. The tail looked like something like off of a Siberian husky, and the animal's ears were pointed, not rounded like a bear's. My aunt used to have goats in a big pen behind her trailer. One night she claimed she heard something rubbing against the trailer and a strange growling noise, whistling noises, and the like in the morning. She found two of her goats dead. One was right outside her bedroom window. All that was left of it was a head. The other goat didn't have a mark on it, but the lock to the pen was totally scratched to pieces and ripped apart, and the door was ripped open. Well, with a lot of these sightings, they occur. I mean, they can occur anywhere. I mean, don't get me wrong about that. They can occur absolutely anywhere, whether you're out in the middle of the boondocks somewhere, or you're just in an area that's a little rural, or even up into city limits. There's been sightings inside town of of Dogman and the like. But there's a lot of stories that they always have this similar element where they either have dogs, or the people either have dogs, or they have goats or some kind of farm animals, horses, cows, chickens, something like that. My guess would be that these things are just looking for an easy meal, and they're gonna take the opportunity, being that they probably are, as most animals would be, humans included, are opportunistic when they're hungry. And that's what I think it is, man. Is that they'll see a chance for an easy meal. I mean, if you were one of these creatures and you walked up and seen a pen full of chickens in in a large fenced-in backyard where they couldn't get away, if they got away from you, they couldn't get very far, and there's nobody out there, and there's just this pen full of food, you'd probably take it too. And the more I read these stories, the more I'm starting to get a feel for I'm not going to say what these creatures are thinking or anything like that, because I mean, if I said that, I'd be very naive, and I'm not a naive person. Um, but I will say this, that it just seems kind of like the pieces fit. I mean, you hear enough of these stories, and things start to, like, the dots start to connect themselves. And a lot of these stories take place near wood lines, of course. Some don't, but most of them do. Most of the encounters have something to do with pets or livestock or animals, being kept by the person having the encounter. And a lot of them, hell, they might just run up on the dog man, and neither one of them realize the other's there. The dog man's probably as surprised as you are, but then it's like, screw that. This person's seen me. It's time to get them the hell out of here. And that thought's kind of scary in my mind, I mean, because thinking about the encounter that I had and the look on the face of this thing after the look of surprise, I guess, had washed away from it, it looked angry, as if it was pissed off, that it had been seen. And I guess once it seen us, it realized that it was one of us that had been the reason why it got hit with a rock. And yeah, just thinking about that sometimes, it makes me wonder. You got to try to put yourself inside the minds of these creatures from time to time, just like if you're in a altercation with another human being. I mean, you put yourself in their shoes, and sometimes you can understand why they react the way that they do. But I digress. These stories, not only are they growing in the number of encounters worldwide. There's more encounters every day. And if people aren't encountering them every day, then every day more people are coming out talking about something that they had seen or heard or felt. And at the same time, it seems that the intensity of the stories, how scary these encounters and these stories are getting more intense, every time a new one is told. And it makes me wonder, are we just seeing them more often because everybody's got a smartphone with a camera on it, or maybe more people are coming out about their encounters because of shows like the Dogman Encounters and the Dogman Diaries? Or is it simply that there are more of these things now and they're becoming more aggressive? Who really knows? That's something that I would hope that we can one day find out. But that's going to be something for another time. I'm Barilla Black. Thank you for joining me on the Dogman Cometh. Until next time, take it easy, my friends.